Welcome again to another presentation in the series of Real People, Real Choices, where you have the opportunity to work on a real-life case study and choose the best solution. Today's case study is from Chapter 7 and asks you to choose the most appropriate pricing structure for a new business. So let's have a look at decision time at Red Room DVD. This case study looks at a new entrant in the DVD rental market, namely Red Room DVD. Being a late entrant into a mature industry always poses a significant challenge, as customers are usually already loyal to few brands and are less likely to switch. Therefore, late entrants need to be innovative and bring something new to the market in order to be successful. And that's what Red Room DVD has tried to do. It is certainly not your everyday video store. At Red Room DVD, members can browse through thousands of DVD titles at interactive touchscreen stations. All the information to allow them to make informed decisions is easily available, as they can watch the trailers and read reviews about movies. And via the same touchscreen, the members can reserve their choice of DVDs and pick them up from a big red vending machine. And this service is available on a 24/7 basis. The company decided on a high-impact retail strategy to attract attention and first-time customers. This retail strategy was built around awesome shopfronts in high street locations. This exciting retail presence should be enough to attract consumers, but providing value through an appropriate pricing structure would be critical to generating repeat customers and building strong customer loyalty. To make their pricing decisions slightly more complicated, they needed to satisfy two different target markets. The first was those customers who often hired a number of DVDs at one time, typically through value bundles, and those customers who were hiring only one particular movie that they wanted to view. Therefore, they needed to find a pricing structure that would provide real value to both segments. In order to address their pricing challenge, Red Room identified three potential options. These were: Option 1. Red Room could use the traditional industry pricing structure. This is where the first new release would cost $7 overnight, 2 new releases just $12, and 3 new releases only $15. While this pricing approach is not innovative, it should appeal to the heavy users segment who will be rewarded for borrowing more DVDs. Option 2. The firm could use a prepaid account system. Younger consumers are familiar with this type of system through prepaid mobile phone accounts. Under this system, each new release would have the same rental rate, regardless of the number borrowed. Members would receive a bonus for recharging their account, and the greater dollar amount that they recharge, the greater the amount of their bonus. Therefore, this bonus system is also likely to appeal to heavy users. Option 3 is to sign members up to a regular monthly payment. For this ongoing fees, members can borrow as many new release DVDs as they like, for as long as they like. The only restriction being that they cannot borrow more than 2 DVDs at any one time. This option is likely to generate good reliable cash flows and is likely to reward heavy users. However, it is likely that it has limited appeal to light users. Now that you know the three options, what would you decide if it was your decision? When you have formulated your answer, continue with the presentation. Now that you have made your decision, let's have a look at the options other people would choose and why. First, we'll see a student's view, and then we'll see what an academic thinks. The student selected option 2, to offer cheap prepaid accounts. Why did they choose this option? Because the firm is trying to be innovative in a mature market. It has already worked hard with its interactive experience, and therefore, it should also be innovative with its pricing approach. The prepayment system allows everybody to take advantage of the cheap pricing, regardless of how many DVDs they are borrowing at one time. This will mean that consumers will not feel forced to borrow more DVDs in order to get a better deal. And in regards to the future growth of the firm, potential franchisees are more likely to be attracted to a business that generates cash flows in advance. The academic also selected option 2, to offer cheap prepaid accounts. Why did they choose this option? The market is now familiar with the concept of prepaid accounts, primarily through prepaid mobile phone plans. Having a prepaid account reduces the consciousness of how much they are spending, and is more likely to lead to impulsive in-store purchase decisions. Prepaid accounts also offer good opportunities for short-term promotional campaigns by offering various incentives to recharge the account. And finally, the firm will benefit from the cash flow of the prepayments, as well as benefiting from unused credit. Okay, let's find out what Red Room DVD did in real life. The firm decided to go with option 2, a cheap prepay pricing scheme. They believed that this would offer customers better value for money. It would also provide greater convenience, as customers will not need to queue up to pay each time they rent a DVD. However, they did find that some of the heavy users did not find the overall price cost effective, and as a result, the firm introduced special DVD bundle prices. So what happened after Red Room DVD selected option 2? It appears that the firm is very pleased with the pricing structure. To quote directly from the case, the firm has had fantastic store launches right across the network, and customers have been quick to adopt the prepaid system as they don't have to queue to pay every time they rent a DVD. However, they have determined that the bonus credit incentive is not as effective as they thought it would be. This is because consumers do not necessarily see it as lowering the rental price. Therefore, the firm plans to decrease its emphasis on this pricing incentive. Now, let's see how we can use the textbook to help us with a decision like this. Let's start by reviewing the steps in price planning, which we can find in Figure 7.1 on page 242, where our first task is to determine our pricing objectives. According to the text, there are a number of pricing objectives that a firm may choose from, but in this case, 2 objectives seem to stand out from all the rest. These are sales, or market share, and image enhancement. Initial sales are going to be critical for the firm as they are a new business entering a mature market. Therefore, they need to build a customer base quite quickly and build a regular cash flow of sales. The second goal is to support their overall innovative image. The firm wants to differentiate themselves from traditional DVD rental stores, and have done that through their high-impact facilities and processes. However, an innovative pricing structure is another way they can support this market position. Because we have limited information on demands and costs, we will now skip to step 4 in price planning, which is evaluating the pricing environment. 2 of the main factors we should consider in the pricing environment are competition and consumer trends. The DVD rental industry has a monopolistic competition structure. This means that there are a lot of sellers, each offering a slightly different marketing mix. This structure makes it important for Red Room DVD to be clearly differentiated in the marketplace, which will take the pressure off competing purely on price. In terms of consumer trends, the emphasis on prepaid mobile phone plans would be very relevant here. This is because the young adult market has become accustomed to prepaying for services in advance. Therefore, this type of plan can provide an opportunity for the firm to differentiate themselves. In terms of choosing a pricing strategy, the textbook outlines 5 different strategic approaches. There appears to be 3 relevant pricing approaches that would be worthy of consideration for this firm. These are pricing based on the competition, pricing based on customers' needs, and new product pricing. Firstly, the textbook suggests that the firm should price below the competition, primarily because it is a new entrant, and this will help it to gain market share. Next, the textbook suggests strategies based on customer needs should focus on building long-term customer loyalty. One way to achieve this is by using value pricing, or everyday low pricing. This would mean that the firm should implement a consistent level of pricing, rather than higher prices in conjunction with frequent discounting. Finally, as this is a new business, it is appropriate to look at new product pricing. While price skimming is sometimes a very profitable approach, it is not suitable here because the firm lacks a high level of built-up demand. Therefore, penetration pricing, which will help build market share quickly, is a far more suitable approach in this case. Putting it all together, we get fairly consistent advice from each of the strategy approaches. Our overall pricing strategy should be to price below the competition in order to gain market share, as well as providing ongoing value to customers through consistent pricing, which should lead to long-term customer loyalty. The final step in price planning is to develop pricing tactics, details of which can be found on page 261 onwards of the text. A very relevant section for us is pricing for multiple products, where price bundling is discussed. As stated in the textbook, price bundling generates greater overall revenue, brings forward any deferred purchases, and reduces the customer's opportunity to switch to competitors. Therefore, price bundling should be a major consideration for the firm. Overall, it appears that Red Room DVD has made the right decisions, and that option 2 is clearly the best choice for this situation. That's another Real People, Real Choices exercise. We hope it was beneficial, and we look forward to working on another case with you soon.